Welcome to Presentation 1 on Hinds County Instruction. What is the Jackson-Hinds County area like geographically, and what is within and of this environment that gravitated its early residents to move here? In order for us to get an understanding of why Hinds County's residents and Jackson residents moved where they moved to, those early on, have to understand why people move in general, why we move. As people, we move. We move to be closer to a relative or a friend. We may move to start a new job or to bring an old one to its end. We may move to exercise courage, or we may move out of fear. We may move to retire, or we may move to get in gear. Whatever the reason we move, the reason needed is dire. For whatever the reason we move, we aim to strive higher. Other factors and information about why we move. The push-pull factor can give us more insight on this. Usually human beings move, or I should say always, we move to do better. I mean, if everything is going well in the environment that you're in, it's no reason to have a motive for moving anywhere else. If you like the weather where you are, if you have a good job where you currently are, if your social conditions or social set is great where you are, it's no reason to move. So usually movement comes with a negative factor, which is we know as the push factor, which is almost always negative. Nobody moves from a place, again, if things are really going well. So once that push factor, whatever it is, pushes you out of your current environment or the former environment, you're pulled into the latter environment. And usually the pull factor is almost always positive. Because again, if everything is going well where you are in the former place, it's no reason to move. So things have to not be so good in the former place in order for you to move to the latter place. Most of the time, our movements stem from social and economic reasons, which means that we move to be close to someone we care for, whether that be a relative or a friend, or to care for something, our jobs that can pay us more. In respect to being close to someone, of course, that's a social move because anything that's involving social or meaning social is always involving people. Most of the time, anything that involves economics is going to involve money. So that's why, of course, both of those reasons are social and economic respective of the reasons that I stated. Because human goals don't change as much, the reason that we move in the present time, or the reasons that we move in the present time, are not so different than those reasons of why our ancestors move about in the historic times. So when people were deciding to move to Hinds County or Jackson, Mississippi back in the day, around the 1820s, their reasons, well, are more or less the same as they are today, with the exception of a few things, because of course Jackson as well as Hinds County is the largest city and county respectively in Mississippi. So more people may move here because of job opportunities. Less people are moving to here because of the agriculture or farming opportunities, but I'm going to get into that in another slide. But more or less, reasons of why people move don't really change that much throughout history into the present. So again, the question is, what is the Hinds County Jackson area like geographically? And what is within and of this environment that gravitated its early residents to move here? The next few slides will give you a little bit more information about Jackson as a city and its relation to Hinds County. Jackson, which is Mississippi's only urban space, lies in northeastern Hinds County. The city lies directly west of the Pearl River, which served as an environmental motive for founding the city. As you look throughout a lot of cities in the United States and cities throughout the world, before there were cars and airplanes and other sources of transportation, of mechanical transportation, people had to use the natural environment to get around, and more than likely they had to use horses, buggies, and before that they had to use water transportation. So it's quite natural that Jackson would have been founded on a river, which is the Pearl River, which borders uh, Rankin County as well as Hinds County to the east. Jackson shares the Pearl River with its neighboring towns of Pearl, Richland, and Flowood, which all lie in neighboring Rankin County. It is bounded on the north and northeast by Richland, on the south by Byram, and on the west by the town of Clinton. Now a little bit regarding Hinds County and its spatial geography. Jackson's County, Hinds, spreads widely to its far western community of Edwards, separating Hinds County from Warren County. A small section of northwest central Hinds County is also separated by the Big Black River from Yazoo County. Madison County is to its north, as well as Copiah County and a corner of Claiborne County to its south and southwest, respectively. Hinds County is located in the south central part of Mississippi and in the southeastern part, known as the Deep South of the United States. For further understanding of why Hinds County and Jackson's early residents came to the county is a study of its physical geography. Jackson and its county residents, or Jackson and its county reside, physically in what is known as the Brown Loam region of Mississippi. This area is comprised of wide, round hills that usually lie along rivers, which both the Big Black River and the Yazoo River lie beside and near. And if you're looking at the sketch of the map, you can see that the Brown Loam region really extends right at Memphis or a little bit outside of Memphis to the north. And then, of course, Jackson is pretty much south central, as you can see on the map where the star is. And it extends southwest almost to Natchez, a little bit more south of Natchez. So that same region and that soil base is pretty much the same. So those kind of things, that aspect of understanding the land, is physical geography, is giving an understanding as to why people move to certain places. In this case, Jackson and Hinds County, Mississippi. More on Hinds County and its physical geography. Most of this region was created by the mighty Mississippi River, flooding into the Mississippi alluvial plain, which most Mississippians and people outside of Mississippi know as what is called the Delta. After the Delta waters decreased, leftover sediment swept by land raised higher land to the east, which helped form the height of the bluffs and form the western physical boundary of Hinds County and the counties to its north and southwest directions. Lone regions around the world are known to be productive areas where farming is a successful venture. And so, once again, if you're looking at the map, the sketch, what is in blue, is representing the Mississippi River. And you can see that I had the arrows pointing toward what is known as the Mississippi Alluvial Plain, otherwise known as the Delta, otherwise known as also the Yazoo Basin. Uh, and when waters, of course, go into the region, leftover sediment or soil or dirt help to, rose upon what is already a bluff area, a high area, and it increased the land. So alongside of those rivers, mainly I think the Yazoo and the Big Black River, as I stated before, you will see that it's always kind of hilly uh, in that area before going west into, especially northwest, into the Delta, which is an extremely flat, low-lying area, which is beyond the Brown Loam region. This also goes back and stems back to the question that I asked before. which is what motivated Jackson and Hinds County's early residents to move there. One response which is important is that the ancestors of today's Jacksonians and Hinds Countyans obviously moved here partly because of the rich soil that is productive for success in farming and other natural resource, based ventures. Uh, so again, in this case, the move could have been economic. It could also have been environmental, because if you can use resources for both reasons to gain income or money, but also use it to sustain yourself in terms of your life, then it would be a reason why people would gravitate to a certain region. And that's partly why many people of this county and other counties gravitated to the region because of the soil base. Again, usually early on, before a lot of advanced technology that exists today, people move basically for reasons of being able to use the environment not only to sustain themselves and their families, but also to provide income. So again, this is one important motive as to why Hinds Countyans and Jacksonians moved to the area. On the contrary, a more directed motive for moving to Hinds County or to move to Jackson was that its newest residents, and newest I mean those that were moving into the area around the 1820s, moved to Jackson and its surrounding communities because Jackson was becoming Mississippi's new capital. The capital was moved from Washington, which is a suburb. It's now really a smaller community right north of Natchez in Adams County. And it was moved to provide Mississippi with a more centrally based capital city. Though Jackson is not exactly in the center of the state, but if you look around and examine or observe many of the capitals throughout the 50 states and in other places as well, especially Western cultural based places, you will see that the capitals are usually located somewhere near the center. And I think that's to provide ease of access for everybody throughout a particular state or province or parish or political division that's similar to that. But again, Jackson is not exactly in the center. I don't know what was going on when they were coming up with the idea about planning for uh, establishing the capital at that time, back in the early 1800s, was not exactly in the center. And I guess today also, I mean, if you think about it, it's a lot of reasons why people wouldn't necessarily, back then it wasn't a lot of different department stores and venues to attend. Everything was always within a capital city, and everybody from the outlying areas, the outlying rural or suburban areas, would always gravitate to the city. But now you don't actually need to do that because, I mean, if you, for example, well, there's almost a Walmart in every uh, town that's, I would say, about maybe 1,000 or more people. So business and economic opportunities are not reasons why always why people move to capitals today. Capitals are basically set up for political and government influence. And so uh, I would say in some ways Jackson still has that, but again, every county has its own county seat, which tends to most of its political and social influence in that regard. But having said that, this is a more directive move of what have had gravitated more people here because it was being established as a capital. And at that time, as of today, Mississippi is still a primarily rural state. And because things were being situated here for political and economic activity as well as social activity, more people gravitated here than any other part of the state. So how can Jacksonians and Hinds Countyans benefit from what is within and around them? In respective to response one, which is Jacksonians and Hinds Countyans moved there partly because of the rich soil that is productive for success in farming and other natural resource-based ventures. Again, you make use of what history has already taught us. And that's why it's important to look back at what history can offer, because if there were good choices about uh, circumstances that were determined, or good outcomes or positive outcomes that were made from things in history, it's good to look back to continue to use those same uh, founding effects, because it can help us to understand where we are today and what we need to do today. So, because Mississippi, again, is a primarily rural state, and Hinds County is, with the exception of Jackson, a mostly rural county, with the exception of Jackson, like I said, uh, it's still good to make use of the land around. I mean, there are a number of tree types, uh, different fruits and vegetables that can be planted. And, even though everybody's not going, I'm personally not, uh, hadn't been into farming. I mean, my family came from a rural area here in Mississippi, not Hinds County. It came from other neighboring counties, but they were farmers before, and their parents were farmers, and uh, their grandparents and great grandparents were farmers. As far as I can remember back, that's what they did, because that's where they came from, and that's mostly what Mississippi is, and there's nothing to be ashamed of at all. But you make use of what history taught us. You make use of the land, and even though everybody doesn't have the ability, the skill, or the talent to do so, I think all of us more or less can do a little bit of something to contribute back to the environment, and the environment contribute to us. Once again, as I said about the early residents, so that we can sustain ourselves not only economically, but more so to sustain ourselves in terms of our life. Uh, because we're getting toward that time. I mean, it's 2020, and there's a lot of coverage on the notion that there are food shortages that are arising, and that's partly because restaurants and other venues that provide food to, I'm sorry, I should say farms that provide food to restaurants are not being able to use them because of, the cycle of coronavirus and people not being able to work, and then food, being going to waste because nobody can take care of it. So the farmers have to kind of give it away. It's a good opportunity that if it's possible, I think more than possible, that we can go ahead and try to use some aspects of our land, or our yard, that we can use to begin to plant things to sustain ourselves, because we don't know what the future is going to hold. Hopefully, all things positive. Uh, but being realistic, we should all try to make use of what we can of the land, not abuse it, but just to make use of it with what we can for the times to come. like I said, use it without abusing the land. Use a can, man, because it's just so much. Especially in more urban areas, and urban areas tend to be, as in Jackson, uh, because there are more people and because there are more people with different ways of living and different habits. You have some areas that are immaculate in terms of their cleanliness. And then on the other hand, you have areas that are totally drenched in trash. So let's not abuse the land. I mean, personally, I feel bad throwing away some things that uh, shouldn't be just, put into a landfill, like plastics. If you can use it, try to reuse it. And I think uh, some recycling companies should be able to take some of them back. It would be good if we had a bottle bill here in Mississippi where we could, where Mississippians can contribute again back to the environment in this respect of not, littering and not just dumping things down on the ground, because it's so disrespectful to the land that we all benefit from, not only just agriculturally, but just to go outside and be among the trees and among the different other species of animals and things like that. We need to respect that. So we should use the land, but we don't want to exploit it. And then, this is one of the things that Theodore Roosevelt, as a president, which I commend him on, that he was staunch about making sure that at the time when there was great industrial what can I say, great building of empires, industrial empires, during this same particular time period, uh, where and later on as well. Uh, like around, I think, the 1900s, during the Imperial Age, okay, that he was staunch about making sure that there was some land that was set aside throughout the country for preserving the natural resources and preserving a place where people can actually go to as a respite. And so, of course, as within our state, as within the other states, we have our national forests. We have the Homocito, the DeSoto, and there's another one I can't think of it off the top of my head right now. But yeah, we should use the land, but we shouldn't abuse it. We should respect it because, uh, if we respect it and we value our natural environment, over time it's going to be able to help sustain us and sustain itself. But because we've been abusive of it, by just dumping certain chemicals in places and not picking up trash, and it's really gotten out of hand. I think that's one of the negative effects of industrialism that we need to really tend to. I'm real staunch on that myself. And so yes, use the land, but don't abuse the land. Use a can. this just goes back to a point that I made earlier. And if you can grow your own, grow your own if you can, because of the shortages, excuse me, that we may be facing in our country in this time period. Thank you for your time. Thank you for letting me spend a few minutes with you to just talk about uh, a place that I love. I love Mississippi. I love the South in general, because it's just a beautiful place to me. And I want to be able to share that learning, things that I've learned with others, and be able to learn from you as well. So there is more to come soon. But in the meantime, tour a Hinds County site. There are things around the county to see and do. Uh, we just still in late summer, and it's getting cool now, which is nice. The seasons are changing, and so it's still time to. Even though I like to go to places in the wintertime as well, I don't mind cold weather. Cold weather here. That's another thing great about the South, is that it doesn't get that cold. And so, in the meantime, tour a site, tour the Pocahontas Mound site. There's a lot of information there to read from about that particular Native American group, and the mound is the rest area, which is northwest of here, has been redone. It's really a nice place, and as far as I know, it is still free, as well as the Byron Swinging Bridge. I have a fear of heights myself, so but I did, go across it, and I loved it. It's nice to see a piece of history, and it's nice to see a piece of history in my home state. So. Uh, Till next time, again, thank you for your time. Please leave comments or suggestions or questions that you may have, and there will be more to come soon. And I thank you so much for your time today. Have a good day.